Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all for today's panel discussion on embracing advanced technology. Let me introduce our esteemed panelists, starting with today's chairperson for this session, Mr. Vineet Mazgaonkar. He is the chairman and co-founder of Armstrong Dematic. He is known as prominent innovator and senior leader in the intralogistics automation industry. He has been in this high-tech automation industry for 27 years, including 20 years of Armstrong and 2 years of senior leadership on German board. Then we have Mr. Ramakrishna Reddy. He heads the proprietary domain in sourcing and supply chain function at Ashok Leyland. He has over 24 years of experience in automotive industry, and prior to Ashok Leyland, he also worked in Tata Motors. Then we have Mr. Ram Mohan Nalathingal. He is the head of business operations at Tata Autocom Systems. He has more than 2 decades of experience with strong capabilities in business development, purchasing and supply chain domains. He has worked with several companies like Cummins, Hindustan Motors, and Tata Motors. Then we have Mr. Ankit Chandak. He is the head supply chain management in Erling Klinger Automotive Components. He has more than 15 years of experience in automotive industry with expertise in procurement strategy, inventory control, customer order planning, and warehouse management. Then we have Mr. Mandar Kothawad. He is the head of logistics of G-Stamp. He has 2 decades of experience in automobile and manufacturing and worked with several companies like Valeo, Bentler Group, Mahindra CI Automotive, Samsonite, and Bosch. Then we have Mr. Sunil Honale. He is the head of supply chain management at SKH Groups. He is responsible for entire supply chain function of SKH and SMC Pune plant, which manufacture precision metal components and sub-assemblies for auto OEMs. He has more than 2 decades of experience in automotive industry. We have Mr. Pavan Vij. He is the assistant vice president of business at TVS Supply Chain Solution. He has more than 2 decades of experience in automotive industry and worked with several companies like Vikram Solar, JCB, Volkswagen, Renault Nissan, General Motors, Bajaj Auto, and Hero Cycles. Last but not the least, Mr. Shreyas Panse. He is the principal of Kearney Global Management Consulting Firm. He works with automotive clients and logistics service providers in strategic and operational transformation mandates. In his 12 years of experience, he has advised clients in India, Southeast Asia, Europe on critical supply chain topics, including network design, long-term supply chain, capacity planning, digitalization, and adopting new technology trend. So now we can start with the session. Over to you, Mr. Vineet, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kinjal. Welcome, everybody, for this third and last session. And it's about the role of technology that will play out in the world of interlogistics or the entire logistics automation in the automotive sector. Automotive industry has always been at the forefront of automation. And a lot of, so I think next to the space sector, whatever researches and inventions happened in the space sector were quickly adopted by automotive sector globally. And then a lot of pieces of automation were eventually adopted from automotive industry by other industries. But I think when it comes to logistics automation, automotive industry is just starting to catch up with and especially when we speak about India, it's just starting to catch up with the global pace. As they say, some people change when they see the light, others change when they feel the heat. And well, if we don't fall into either of these categories, then one day we just perish because change is permanent. So without much ado, I have 7 honorable panelists here with me, and I would ensure that you get the maximum opportunity to listen to their thoughts on the role of technology in the logistics in automotive. My first question would go to Ankit Chandak. And the question is, with the transformation of automotive industry in full swing, What emerging technologies are currently most influential in reshaping the automotive supply chain? And AI and machine learning take precedence in market analytics. How do you perceive their influence on demand forecasting accuracy within the automotive supply chain? Over to Ankit.
Yeah, thank you, Vineet. Um, Automation has been an integral part of supply chains, automotive supply chains, but as rightly mentioned, it has started at the later stages. In automation, there are two kinds of automation that we talk about. One is the physical automation that we talk about warehouses, and then intellectual automation as well. So when we talk about physical automation, there are things such as automated storage and retrieval system that we have for automation. Morning there was a mention of barcode scanning and inventory doing through barcode. That is a kind of automation that we talk about. We have automated guided vehicles being placed in the plant to drive, and it is accident free. Then we have various solutions such as delivery of material even to the shop floor only by click of a button, that is through paperless. So we can also reduce the waste that is paper by having paperless TOs. The TOs can be scanned on the tabs, and then the material can be shifted. So there are many ways which we can reduce errors, human errors. And one more important point for any supply chain, there are three main for automotive or non-automotive. The main three criteria are: first is customer satisfaction, which has changed to customer delight. The other one is inventory, which everybody is aware of, and the third comes to shortages. So supply chain people are always between inventories and shortages, or either excess or a shortage. And I probably believe all of us sitting here will agree to this. So therefore, as was mentioned in morning session as well, that we also need an automation for knowing the status of our shipments, because in our case also we have many shipments which are coming from overseas. So we should be knowing, and during COVID times there were delays, and therefore we do not know. If we don't know what is the status of the vessel, that may lead to line shortages and criticalities and premium freight as well. So that is a part that has again started, and that has added to a physical automation that we talk about. When you distribute supply chain into physical logistics, and then it comes to procurement. If it comes to procurement, then we have electronic data interchange that we have with our suppliers. So we can share real-time data with the suppliers. Then there are more systems like we can also have traditional way of having Kanban was a paper, but then we eliminated, and we can have e-Kanban. We have e-Kanban with line as well as integrated with our suppliers as well. So that kind of things help you to save the nature and also pass on real-time data to the suppliers. But one thing that I would like to mention is that the automotive supply chains are driven by the customer, that is OEM. So we urge customers to act more on this and develop such platforms that suppliers can also be at the same, the information can be shared transparently and real-time basis. Finally, I would come to forecasting, that is the artificial intelligence or machine learning. Of course, it has been, what does it do? Artificial intelligence collects the data from, historical data and current trends and then market sentiments. It goes to the deepest level possible, and it is always better to have such kind of solutions when you have lot many SKUs and then lot many parts to plan. So finally, the last one which I would like to mention is a Power BI, which is a normal tool which can help you to have data in front of you and take decisions accordingly. Finally, I would like to conclude saying that this improvements or these things can be only driven if, as also was mentioned in the first session, if leaders drive. So if leaders drive this can be done. And of course, these are useful, but as it goes more and more into systems, there can be a threat of cyber security, which we should look into. So that's all I would like to mention about that. Thank you.
I'll add over here one more point with respect to supply chain. It is one common word, but actually if this is two words basically. One is a material management and second part is logistic. And again, logistic is a two part, which is a internal logistic and intra-logistic. And when we talk about material management, this more talk about scheduling, and bringing the parts. The second part, which is the inter and intra logistics, which plays a vital, we as a TVS or supply chain industry plays a very vital role on the inter logistic and as well as intra logistic, where they are the operation management. When we talk about further more in detail in times to come, we talk about how to increase the operation efficiency, how to improve the safety factor inside the operations, basically. And all those things are very much available now with the usage of IoT or AI platform.
Thank you, Pawan, for that add-on. Yes, sure.
I think even government is also driving some things, like, vehicle recall policy is there. Okay, emission regulation product with OBD2 coming up, it's now mandatory that everybody is charge checking the vehicles at the tailpipe emissions. So this is also driving the OEMs to do a lot more backward integration of their distillation to actually see to what extent I can contain the problem. I should know to what extent the problem is. So in my vehicle level, the complete assembly line is fully automated. In terms with all the sensors are integrated with the QR code. When my vehicle goes out with a V number, it gives me I can keep a tab on all the electronic components or emission related or safety critical components. There is a tag. Similarly, my suppliers, my tier ones, are also doing the same thing. So if there's any problem in the field with any one particular, say, component, I can know to what batch of vehicles this problem is associated, and I can go back to supplier and also find out to what extent the problem is there at this end. So this is the technology has advanced substantially. Yes, it has happened in the manufacturing. We are yet to go ahead in the warehouses. We are still way behind in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramakrishna. So, extension of what we've done in manufacturing, and he shared his first-hand experience. And I think it's only a matter of time that we extend that same technology to the logistics side, warehouse and off-road, on-road as well. My next question would be to Sunil. IoT, the Internet of Things, to bridge gaps between warehousing, transportation, and manufacturing. Can you provide real-world examples of its effective implementation within the automotive industry?
Thank you, Vineet. Before giving you examples about real-time or actually whatever we are using in the automotive supply chain, I want to set a context. I think there are many gray hair people are here. They might be knowing in 90s, early 90s, when Indian Prime Minister, that time Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi said ki we want to start a use of computer. And that time Mr. George Fernandez, he started hesitation that it will badly impact the jobs in the industry and it will not work. Okay, but now if we see, the computer is the highest generating industry, or software is the highest revenue generating industry in the India. Similarly, nowadays, artificial intelligence and IoT, these are the words. If the companies which will not adopt this technology, they will badly affect. And those who are in favor of this technology or adopt this technology will set a way ahead in the market. So real-time examples I will tell you. I will start from the predictive maintenance. See, I am from SKH SMC, where we manufacture sheet metal components for Volkswagen, Audi, Bentley, Porsche. We are having a robotic process automation. So we are having a number of robots. So in predictive maintenance, how IoT is helping us? So by putting sensors, temperature and vibration recording sensors, we came to know whether there is a problem in the robot or not, and it gives us a predictive intimation. Means predictive, we can have a predictive maintenance of that. And for that, all these robots are connected with the software, and there is a dashboard, and we are getting that information. That is the one example of IoT. Second thing is in quality control. Gone are those days when every component was checked by the manually. We are checking manually by hands or by using our eyes. Nowadays, we are using vision systems, special cameras for fault detection. For example, crack, detect defects, different type of defects, that visually we can capture, that camera captures, and there is a conveyor, smart conveyors are there, which are connected with the sensor, and they segregate the okay and not okay parts. And similarly, packing, picking, and shipping, all these activity we can done through IoT. Next, we are having warehouses in India as well as in Europe, Mexico, and China. So, being a supply chain head, my major worry is what is the inventory across the supply chain, and what are those area where I am facing a problem or I will face a problem. So, tracking and visibility, that is provided through IoT. And second thing is inventory management. RFID tools put on containers and pallets. That is that improving our inventory visualization, and it gives us a feedback whether line is going smoothly or not. So these are some examples of IoT. Apart from, there are many examples in safety, like in energy conservation or energy utilization. There are sensors, means proximity sensors we can use. All these are the examples of IoT, and no field or no area of manufacturing or supply chain, right from the supplier collaboration, manufacturing, transportation, logistic, everywhere you will find the IoT. That is. Thank you.
So, Sunil, how can companies ensure a seamless integration of these advancements with their existing intralogistic systems?
Okay. See, we are dealing with the OEMs like Volkswagen, Skoda, Audi, Bentley, Porsche. They are much ahead of, like we are a tier 1 suppliers. So, while integrating all these things and implementing the artificial intelligence or new technologies, our topic is embracing new technologies in supply chain. So there are few things which shall be taken in care. First of all, before implementing any new system, ERP, SAP system, or IoT devices, or artificial intelligence platforms. So first of all, we have to do a comprehensive assessment of our supply chain. Means who are our internal stakeholder, external stakeholder, what are the stages, and what are our aim of implementing that technology. For example, if we want to implement an ERP system, so what are our main aim? Whether it is a cost reduction, improving the quality, or bringing the traceability or visibility. Depending on that, you have to choose which technology is best suitable for us. If we see in the market, SAP has some advantage, there are some disadvantages also of every software. Oracle having their own advantage and disadvantage. In fact, there are n number of softwares or technologies in the industry or in the market. So your aim or objective is very essential. You have to define what you want to achieve from that technology. That is one. Second thing, operability or compatibility. Whenever we are introducing any new technology in our system, so we have to check whatever system we are having currently. For example, we are having Tally or old version of SAP or old version of BAN systems are there. So if you are integrating those systems with the existing or new technologies, so compatibility plays a very important role. Many times what happens, in industry, we are consultant came to us and he gives a very good presentation, and we invest 30 lakh to 1 crore, or in many cases more than 1 crore. And after implementation, we came to know that the main purpose of that is not solved. Correct, na? So still we are using Excel sheet and manuals. So it is very important, whatever new technology we are implementing, that should be compatible. Okay, then nowadays cyber security is very important. Whatever new technology you are implementing, I will give you one example. In one company, I will not state the name, they installed one coffee vending machine, and that was connected to their system and connected to internet. Through that, they got a cyber attack on their system, and their whole system got blocked. So cyber security plays a very important role. So for seamless integration of all these new system with your existing system, cyber security should be taken. And second thing is that whenever there is a change management, you have to manage the people, you have to train the people, not once. It's a continual and continuous process. So every time there should be a periodical or time-based training program and continual improvement program, and there should be a feedback program. And whenever you are implement on project level. So first, take a one, if you, for example, we are having 42 plants across the India. So whenever new technology we are implementing in one plant. And we are observing what is happening. So if that is going well, then we are implementing to other plants. So these are the things we should take in care.
That was very practical and interesting. Yes, I was coming to you, Shreyas.
Because I fully agree with what Sunil said, because it's important that we combine the operation side and the technology side at all times, right? And if you ask me, a lot of times the challenges that we see is also in terms of the cross-functional or within the organization collaboration on this, right? If there is a situation where it is like, a technology solution being sold as a technology solution, right? Which is that, okay, we're implementing an ERP or we're implementing a TMS. It becomes technology first, operations second, or in some cases it becomes operations first, and let's say we end up, implementing a WMS, which is only good for that warehouse and does not speak to others, right? I think it's important that the involvement of both the operations and the process-focused team, which is trying to solve that core, maybe an inventory problem or a cost problem or a service problem. And there is also the technology team, which is there to guide you along, right? I think I'm sure all the organizations are now investing very heavily on that side of it, which, by the way, also takes care of the cybersecurity related points, right? Are we buying a software which is, potential risk to the organization in a much larger scale? So the involvement of cross-functional team is quite critical. Interconnectedness has to be, I don't think any of us today buys any device that does not properly connect to our Wi-Fi or doesn't properly connect to our systems, right? We don't buy that. Why? Because we know interconnectedness is pretty much part of our life. The same thing applies for the organization. If we are not, thinking through that as part of the overall solutioning, as Sunil mentioned, that whatever spend that is happening is basically going down the drain.
So on that, one is about the technology, its adoption, and the complexities of technology. But at the same time, in India, a common question comes about the ROIs on technology and the investments that people would want to make or people are scared to make, whichever way you look at it. So Shreyas, you have been into consulting and you have been a preacher of a lot of these things. So how do you look at people's perspective of ROI, and how do you think our audience should look at ROIs in implementing these technologies?
I know ROI is like one of the most unpleasant topics when it comes to technology and for all the operators. So, always a difficult conversation to have. I'll just put maybe three things into picture for this. One being, I would say, comprehensiveness. Second being evidence. And third is horizon, right? So I'll sort of go one by one. When it comes to comprehensiveness, which is just about, are you trying to solve one problem or are you trying to solve three problems, right? And quite often you also have a situation where there is a primary problem and a secondary problem being solved, right? So let me take an example of inventory. Okay, we are trying to reduce our inventory cost, but honestly, what that is also helping us is improve our service levels, right? If you have the right stock at the right place, your overall inventory goes down, but at the same time, your service levels improve. What that means is your customer experience, customer delight improves, which means potentially your share of business and your overall sales improve, correct? So the one thing on ROI, whenever I would say we should look at it, is always what are all the impacts. It's not always cost. It's not always working capital, right? That is a very one-sided approach to take. It has to be a comprehensive approach. It has to factor in lost sales. It has to factor in maybe the effectiveness of our supply chain teams. If the supply chain team is wasting a lot of time trying to rebalance things, and now the technology is helping you solve it, today that is what is happening. Tomorrow that team can invest in other areas, which means my team's efforts and my team's cost, which is a investment from the company, can actually be focused elsewhere. That's the comprehensiveness part. So it should not be just one thing. It should not be just cost reduction, working capital reduction. It should actually be a much more comprehensive thinking. The second thing which I said is evidence. And I mean, we are hearing a lot of examples. I'm sure there are more examples in the industry of that particular solution being implemented. There is always somebody, and I'm sure even in this room, there are people who have done those things for the first time in the industry, right? And you can be the evidence for others. So taking evidence, what is the impact of that particular technology? It's very important. Like ASRS is an example, we were just talking before the session. It's a technology which is close to 60, 70 years old, right? But we still have to prove the evidence. That should not be the reason, right? There are examples in the industry. Where can we find those evidence, and can we, use that as a way of, defending our ROI? And third thing, as I said, is horizon. I think that is by far the biggest change, because it cannot happen only at a supply chain level. It has to happen at the organization level. We cannot look at it as, technology is no longer a thing where, okay, it's not an expense, right? It is not a thing that every year we spend on technology and then we get something back. It has to be a continuous exercise, right? So as a result, the horizon also that you look at on some of these things have to be different. That's a tougher conversation. I mean, in situations that we have faced, it's also a case where a lot of times it is not a supply chain problem, right? It is I would say a CEO problem or an MD problem, and it has to be also dealt at that level, so that we are not looking at it as a short-term exercise, but rather, what is my technology journey, same way what is my product journey, right? We have to look at it in that fashion.
Just want to add so one more thing, just before actually the basic starts, what's your vision of the goal? Organizations, what's the goal or the vision? Then you arrive at the business strategy. Then from the business strategy, you arrive at the supply chain strategy. Okay. When you arrive at what we have done in AL is that we have mapped the complete sourcing process from top to bottom. Okay. Based on the source, after that we have mapped what is the sourcing strategy. We have put, suppose my strategy is to be a nimble-footed. What are all the processes which are going to affect the nimble, we have identified. Adjacent to it, we put what is the current technology that's there, and what is the pain point that needs to be addressed to achieve the goal of this sourcing and the supply chain. Then we arrive at what is the digital technology that's required. Then all the activities starts.
So, yeah, sorry, sure.
So regarding ROI, I just want to say, when at my end, I want to implement any new technology, I have to keep in mind 2 to 3 things. First, initial cost. Whenever I am buying or purchasing or procuring any new technology, what is the initial cost? Then every year there is a maintenance cost, and sometimes there are some updates. Okay. So these updates, and so whenever we are implementing anything and procuring new technology, so we have to think for next 5 years or at least 10 years. 5 to 10 years period we have to consider, and depending on that we have to find out the ROI. How, initial cost and what are the benefits. Many times it's a challenge we have, in front of managers, how to justify that investment. So the man hours which we are going to save by implementing this technology, that we have to calculate. Total overall man hours, then your opportunity cost. For example, your brand image, quality, then speed, all these. There are formulas, statistical formulas by which we can calculate the ROI, and we can define the ROI. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. And with that, I think, Mandar, I would also like to come to you, because you have a case which is implemented on IoT, and it demonstrates, you must have had the implementation process, people adapting to the change, and of course, a lot of discussions on ROI maybe. So could you throw some light on this subject?
Thank you, Vinit. Good afternoon to all. we discuss about the technologies, which are the technology. Now the technology at our doorstep or enter in the organization. But after technology, what is the adaptability of the organization? That is very important. And in adaptability means we have a lot of data. If you see 1 minute, millions of data is transferring from to the cloud. But how are you going to utilize the data? That is very important because that is beneficial to the organization. Everybody is talking about the digitalization. 10 years back, the India was different. Now we are in different stage because we have adopted. Because that is the daily routine. But regarding this IoT point of view, I just want to share my experience. One important there, every minutes, the whatever the production is going on the robot or the press, everything data is collected. And in that data, after data receive, it is important to do the analysis. Because who is responsible, because organization is a vertical of 2, 3, 4 departments, and who is responsible for that time. So I utilize this data in different way and analyze means which are the factor, and the some are the tools. After this data is means the technology is there, data is available, then we utilize the PDCA cycle. For that, we have to train the people because logistic or supply chain is a part of is a supply chain or logistic is a transparency, because every customer is also asking for to give the transparency. But to implement on the shop floor, that time we have to do the adopt that technology. For that, we implemented some small solution, because in logistic and supply chain, whatever the manpower, that is not a skilled manpower or the technical persons. For that, then we have started the training, then coaching, and then follow, and these are all on the Gemba. And the last important point is the implementation is the checklist, because each person, whatever the data is that, the benefit is that whatever the, because we are in service provider, logistic is service provider, our losses has reduced compared to the last year's 50%. So this is the best utilization of the data or the technology, I can say, which is beneficial to the organization. And this is one important part of the ROI also, because every logistic manager face, I want to implement this technology, but leaders are always asking what is the ROI. So better way that all person has to present this way. This is the earlier condition, now this is the second condition. Second important part for the logistic point of view is the inventory. Whenever the inventory on the shop floor, now due to the digitalization, all the barcode scanning and everything, the inventory is on the fingerprint or the system. So whenever we are doing the scanning and all that thing, you will get the traceability of the inventory. This is the beauty of the technology which we are using. But this is all started from the customer, because customer is asking. So we are responsible to give transparently on this data. So my conclusion is for that, whatever the technology is available, how much are we flexible and adopt, and we need to coach our team. So this will be the make successful for the organization point of view.
Here I have a bit difference of opinion because innovation clubbing with ROI actually will not lead to us anywhere. That's my thought. The reason is, if someone was talking about driverless car and talking about ROI, certainly this would have not been possible. Talking about person along with that on the moon for the vacation, that is a future vision. And if we talk about ROI, certainly those things are now going to happen. Same we have seen in the few years before, the pager was 35,000, 45,000 rupees. And then afterwards, if the innovation would have not happened, right? So the ROI is one thing, but it is more on the believing on the future and investing. And that is why the overall pressure is there to invest more on the R&D expenses so that we can develop more faster things, and certainly those ROI can come better. But certainly when you are talking about IoT and artificial intelligence usage in the supply chain, in manufacturing domain, it is more of the trust on the things. And as you grow, the R&D will become more better. Certainly you have your ROI and all those things are going to come.
So thanks, Pawan, for that. And if I may share some experience about Armstrong and Dematic, who are our global partners, and what happens in India and what happens in Europe, for example. Working out on ROIs in Europe relatively is easy because, for example, if you replace one person on the floor, you can easily justify an investment of 100,000 euros, 1 lakh euros. And in multiples of that, you can just do it. In India, this doesn't work. And hence, in India, apart from the fact what Pawan said, that, ROI is a gray line and a thin gray line between, a business case and actually the aspiration to become the company of the future. I think that there are some more elements in India which we have seen as automation solution providers, which works in India. And we often fail to consider the cost of poor quality. Typically, our pilferages, if we, before and after cases we have recorded in the public domain, which demonstrate a saving of 1.5% to 2% on just pilferages. That doesn't get accounted in your ROI calculations. Space. Traditionally, warehouses were, 15 meters, 20 meters tall? We have last year supplied almost, equipment for 6 warehouses, which are 30 meters tall. And actually, that's not our sweet spot. Our sweet spot is about 40 meters tall. So 40 to 44 meters is our sweet spot. Now imagine shrinking the floor space to one third or 1/4 of what you are currently using. That is where one piece of ROI lies. Another piece is also in safety. We underrate safety in India. Often people say, that safety is taken for granted. But I think automotive sector has risen above that. And there are many companies which boast of, a few thousand days of zero accident. And they would fight tooth and nail to kind of maintain that record. So safety is one area where, automation plays an important role, and given the right equipment, safety can be maintained. So there are various aspects that, work around this ROI, and it's not a simple formula that itna aadmi kam kar diya to iska ROI kitna ho raha hai nikalo. It doesn't work that way in India. So that was about the ROI piece. When so much of data is being generated, and with IoT, we get into the real-time data. In predictive analytics, we all know that Amazon tested those cases, which I mentioned in the morning session as well. About 4 years ago, I remember Amazon tested cases that they start moving the materials even before you actually make your buying decision. They start moving the material close to your nearest, delivery hub. America is a big country, and so is India. I mean, we may not be as big as America, but our logistics times are higher than US, twice as much as US. So how do we use that data? How do we make our systems efficient? As a real-time decision-making becomes crucial. How are connected warehousing and transportation networks impacting overall supply chain efficiency? I would address this question to Sunil and then to Ramakrishna about how can we leverage data across the network of our warehouses and network of our routes. Over to you, Sunil.
So how to use this data efficiently? Okay, so real-time data. See, the industry, automotive industry, where, for example, I take an example of SKH. We are having more than 300 locations where we have to deliver the components, okay? And similarly, there are more than 1,000 SKUs, finished goods. And for manufacturing those 1,000 goods, we need more than 5,000 subcomponents, okay? And similarly, we are having 200 plus vendors, different vendors or service provider, direct and indirect. And we are having different processes. So all these data, see, data is generated, but when there is one proverb, garbage in, garbage out. So data is very important, and that should be a clean data. So whenever we are implementing any new system or adopting a new technology, so how we are going to capture that data, that is very important. For example, for raw materials, bill of material, all the parameters of that component, where it is to be stored, location, its packing, all these parameters shall be, means master updation in the system, it is very important. And time to time, you have to update it or keep it up to date. That is very important while using the data. Second thing, interpretation of data. Sometimes big data is there, but sab kuch to hai, everything is there, but we can't conclude anything. Okay, we are having all the warehouses, all machines, data is there on the screen, but how to interpret that? So for that, we should have a good dashboard, and that dashboard designing is very important nowadays. There are many tools company industry is using. My personal experience, I have used Power BI. That is a good, it provides a very good dashboard, and it is an interactive dashboard you are having. It can be connected with your Excel sheet, different Excel sheet, ERP data, or with internet also, or system also, and cloud also. So that gives a real-time information, and it keeps me updated. See, why this information we require, supply chain executive, why they require information for a decision making. And decision making can be done if that information is real time, accurate, correct. And we want a precision. So, if there is an average is okay, that is not the case. We want a range or variations. So variability and real-time information, that plays a very important role in decision making. That is what I want to say. Yeah.
See, these technologies give us the real-time information what's going on. Okay, this will help us. Many other advantages that will take place in the warehouse logistics, movementing of the vehicle. Many advantages are there in the improvements that can be done in the warehouse. Okay, these things overall improve the efficiency of the process. It also helps us in reducing the cost. And more also, as a supply chain person, it helped me in being very nimble-footed. I can just quickly react to the situations, what's happening. And most important thing is that these technology are going to make the process sustain. There's no going back. My efficiency, once I achieve a particular sort of an efficiency level, I continue to maintain that sort of an efficiency level. So digital technology will drastically improve the sustainability.
Thank you. I think drawing from this, Rammohan, you have been using some 3PLs who have been demonstrating live data or real-time data to you. So from your first-hand experience of this real-time data, can you share some experience of how has it eased your life?
Thanks, Vinit. Good afternoon. And in my company, we typically, I take care of procurement, purchase side, as well as supply chain and other activities. But where we do the FTL as well as the PTL contracts, and then we do it. But more of PDC, the part distribution centers. The companies always expect that there is a price and as well as a better service. If you see that the last 10 years, that there's a lot of improvements that happened in the logistics and as well as you can say in the road improvements across in India as well. And I could see the significant improvements in roads done by as a delivery. They have come up in a very big way last 2 years. They put everybody's back. And these are all the things because of IoT and as an AI implementation and all, because that's the technologies which they have come up in. There's a front end and the back end. There's an integration of the material pickup from one location to the destination location. And where that we can say that is a price, maintain the same price, and we could able to improvise the services the delivery performance might have improved, and as well as a real-time data facility to the customers that he can able to know that where my vehicle is there, what type of material is there, and when it is getting delivered. If any documentation errors, documentation issues are there, it is directly interface sort of thing with the customers in the sense that the suppliers to the logistic company, where we can even directly give to them, no need to go to the manual interventions, because that will go to the concerned person, it will get it happen. And my own experience that in the two lines that where I used to take almost the 15 days is the lead time for deliveries, which has come down to the 5 to 6 days. And I could keep even Safe Express as well, but it's a ROE point that the people are saying that, because ROE also it will be monetary as well as on a non-monetary basis. Both the way we need to see that if you do this better services, that they're maintaining the same cost, that you're just grabbing a new customer. You're getting a customer from your competitor. You're getting a more the business to you. And you are reducing that with a more additional business, that you are controlling your cost, that it's automatically it is going to give you a better ROE for you. Because every the technology implementation it has is as a main product as well as the byproducts. We need to see that what are the main aim we are going to get it, as well as what are the byproducts we are going to get it. With byproducts become sometimes that become oversights as the main products as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. Shreyesh, I'm tempted to ask you, in your world of consulting, what power have you seen of this real-time data, and how have been the supply chains leveraging it in terms of resilience and agility?
No, I think a couple of examples, Ram and Sunil spoke about, also what Ramon also spoke about, right, which is sort of your immediate decision making, what we typically call as firefighting, or just in some cases maybe even anticipating, right? I think all of us are essentially stimulated by that information, and we are able to make our decisions faster. I think the one thing I would add on to that is basically feeding it back into your planning or forecasting, right? And we were talking about forecasting at the start. Ankit brought it up. I think that is one part which somehow is still some distance away. And I would sort of give an example of one particular situation where we were actually, using the data much more on predicting where the, let's say, fallout is going to happen in the future, right? Because especially if you talk about something like part distributions, right? You have such a wide network that you're working with. You don't have such a, unlike, let's say, on the B2B or OEM side where, okay, it's a call-off that is going to come in. I have to keep my, some inventory at the customer level, some inventory at my level, some inventory at WIP level, right? It's maybe a little more visible. I can work with my customers closely. The moment you go into, 200 dealers, you have a completely different situation, right? And it may be driven by something as basic as somebody doing a different promotion or different activity in the east part of India, and that is having an impact on your supply chain. So the question is, some of these things, if you have a real-time data, if you have a lot more information, it has to feed back into planning, because I think the sort of post-facto analysis, it helps. Right, it helps you. It like sort of you feel nice about it, but unless you can actually use that into action for your next month's plan, I think that is very critical. It also, I think, is important that some of it, again, I'll go back to the cross-functional part, right? Because this is one thing. I mean, I always feel this as a biggest challenge in the projects that we do, is that within organizations, people need to talk to each other. So feeding this back to even sales planning, giving them that information, giving them that visibility is going to make a difference on both the sales part of it and also, the kind of inventory you keep, the kind of cost you end up spending on your logistics.
So that also prompts me to share one case, that one of our installations in Europe, in Leipzig, in Germany, for Schaeffler. And this is their central aftermarket, you could say warehouse or an intralogistics center or a fulfillment center, which has got storage, retrieval. They even have sub-assembly stations. And from Leipzig, they actually cater to almost 10 countries around, that epicenter in Europe from the single warehouse. And what would be the utopia of this? So their reaction time is so fast that an order which is input in the morning gets dispatched by the same evening. But what utopia would be is the smart cars of today, which literally talk via cloud to your central servers of your automotive companies, could easily give the predictions to this aftermarket warehouse that after 3 days, so-and-so person is going to get this so-and-so car at so-and-so service center in that region where that car is right now. And can you ship these filters, these whatever, those accessories, these brake pads or whatever that is, can you ship it to that particular service center before that car reaches there? So that sort of predictive analytics that this entire data can bring, and when the data is integrated to this integrated intralogistics automation, I think that is where the utopia lies. And well, India is on the way, but I think we can leapfrog to that, new age technologies. I think what Europe has evolved in about 20, 25 years, we have the opportunity to leapfrog to that maybe in 5 years, if we are up to it. And there are a few anecdotal examples of that. Hero Corporation is investing a lot in, their aftermarket automation of warehouses. We do have cost constraints, and the second constraint is about the skill. Because when we talk about all this high-tech stuff, where your cars will be telling automatically your, supply chain that I need a brake pad on so-and-so date, then, you need a lot of people and intellectual people who are running these systems. It's not the profile of the people changes. It's not about people on the shop floor or the blue-collar labor who is going and picking the parts and all that stuff. They are all actually more intellectual people who are processing all these orders, this data, putting the predictions, and setting those order fulfillment line orders to the warehouse. Now, the bigger challenge is talent is a war, as they say. And each one of us here, we are experiencing that challenge. We are the most populous country now on earth, but still we have a challenge of talent. And that is because, we are suffering in terms of getting well-trained people from the academia and the institutes. And so my question to Pawan would be that, what is your maybe idea? How should this industry fraternity tackle this problem of, having the right skills to handle the level of automation or the level of robotics or data that we just discussed? Where do you get these people from?
So, two things are very clear. Since morning, we are hearing some of the delegates that whatever supply chain we are people over here, most of the people have learned by experience, or learned by doing. Second topic is the supply chain is no more people management or MHE management business left over. That is why even in the current curriculum, if I talk about our education system also, after you do the graduation, then if you go for MBA, you pursue for MBA, you run for operation and supply chain management. With there, you learn more on the TOCs, lean manufacturing system, and other topics. But currently, what we are talking about, supply chain management, is now core technical business, where we are talking about usage of different platforms, technical innovations, engineering solutions, because supply chain is a part of 3PL or 4PL. I always say that in operation management, one of the biggest tasks is safety, because we use a lot of material handling equipments, forklift, tow trucks, and we see almost 70% of the accidents are happening on the shop floor in the organization because of our MHEs and people management, basically. So it means somewhere we have to put some kind of engineering solutions over there. We have to put some kind of scientific solutions over there so that we can avoid those things. And it means, again, talks about usage of sensors, some artificial intelligence, some data analytics for utilization of your MHE's efficiency. It means this is a need of our that two ways the supply chain need to come into the system as a part of education. One is on a kind of curriculum, because we are seeing the mechanical, electrical, electronics, and so on and so forth. Even the now new last 5 to 6 years, the artificial intelligence or IoTs are coming to the curriculum as one of the part. But possibly the need has come where the supply chain management as complete course with respect to technical details has to be part of curriculum to generate more and more freshers who is more subject matter expert by book. And then we have an experience in the industry available, then we have a lesson learns, which can be incorporated with your book learning, and then you can develop better future who knows about this, because we know this buzzwords of usage of that. But when we need to implement that, we need really a technocrats, IT professionals, who knows the subject matter and align with the operation what we are doing in over there. Knowing the technology is good thing, but how I am going to integrate, those comes from the basic of education. So somewhere this is a need of our, possibly in the diplomas and the engineering education institutes. This can be taught as a basic curriculum, and then we have a freshers available so that we can integrate those solutions with our pain points, and that can help us.
So, yes, Manda, please.
Yes, definitely, Pawan, whatever saying is that this is the need of industry, because supply chain industry is the future, because lot of requirement, because all companies are the customer centric now, and customer is asking real time delivery with the traceability. So for that, manforce should be ready. So that is this is the need of our, and industry need to address for that. But I put this requirement in two ways. Currently, whatever the manforce is available in all industry, so we have to do the training in there and they increase their skills in-house by using this technology. For MEC operator, we are using some simple Google Sheet, sending the Google Sheet and asking 10 questions to check their skill level or all that, because safety is a major concern for the logistic point of view. So this way we are using the technology to upgrade their skill. And the future point of view, yes, the industry and the educational institute, they have to focus on this skill development of the supply chain. So these are the inputs from my side.
And on top of it, which I add few more words, we are already in the era of driverless cars. Who knows, and some of the countries have already started working driverless MHEs, driverless forklift, driverless tow truck driver, basically. Then we are talking about afterwards, next step is coming auto picking, the robots. Possibly with the ROI words, it doesn't suit this point of time. But who knows, those things are going to come. But finally, those possible to implement in the supply chain industry with a knowledge domain of operation as well as knowledge domain of implementation.
Thank you. Ramkrishna, would you mind sharing with us what is your strategy of talent acquisition? So where do you find, how do you groom your people? Where do you find the talent?
Talent, yes, we normally recruit from, like anybody else, we recruit from any of the colleges. And they go on an extensive training for, say, 1 year period. And then they are put onto the on-job experience. So this is the normal routine that anybody does. It's the on-job training that makes a major role. As a fresh graduate, they are given some sort of a dedicated projects where they have to handle end-to-end, get on hands-on experience. So that deep dive into those problems actually make them enhance the knowledge.
Okay. So here I may just state that, as I said earlier, talent is a war, and all of us face that problem at a certain level. And while adopting this technology, talking about the compatibility of technology, you would even get your sanctions of, investments into automation or into high-tech stuff. But the biggest fear is, where are the people who will understand this and keep it sustainable, keep it live, keep it running? And there is a big industry academic partnership also, which CII Institute of Logistics also promotes. There are 5 subcommittees under CII Logistics. And one of the subcommittee is actually, industry academic partnership, wherein we encourage industry fraternity like us to, get the apprentices, if I may use that word, for want of a better word, who are interested to make their careers in logistics. And I think, that can be one possibility where, so as automation solution providers, we offer, those apprenticeships to the Institute of Logistics. So if anyone amongst you are interested to do that, I think the CII Institute of Logistics would be only happy to collaborate with you and forge that partnership with you for talent development, and eventually you could select the right candidates for your organizations who are capable of driving the new era of technology in your company. I think so to say we are at 5 o'clock now, almost towards the end of our session. But before we open the question answer for the audience, I think I'll just take a couple of more questions. And my question to Pawan is that, can you highlight any innovative ways in which automotive companies are leveraging automation and robotics to address intralogistics challenges?
So, two parts. One is, if I talk about an automotive industry, the one is a domain which is already inside, which is your body shop, paint shop, assembly, and press shop, and different area. There, the company itself putting a lot of investment on their own because they have a clear ROI with respect to their volumes. Supply chain, when it comes, it is being outsourced for the sake of saving the cost. So far as the buzz is like that only. But on the contrary, we are expected to do the innovation. Certainly, these are the possible. So, live example, the auto pickers. Even we are now talking about the inventory, because we know the inventory. Two topics is very important. One is the inventory by cost. It's very, very WIP for the cash flow for any company. Second is, we know that if you are sitting on almost 800 to 850 crores of inventory with a high volume, you need to have a wall-to-wall inventory roughly 3 to 4 days of time, which is indirectly a loss of your production. So now people are working on drone inventory. You have RFID cards, systems are available. If you have a stationary location in your racking system, how the drone can help to do the inventory in a couple of hours. This is still at the preliminary stage, but as I said, this is an innovation which is going to come. This is going to drastically save your 3.5 days. If you're volume producing cars of 700 per day, certainly there is a big cost saving which is going there. Auto-guided vehicles are already there in place. Now another things which is coming up with again I talk about material handling equipments, because every driver when he or she drives the material handling equipment, he or she takes their own way to reach to the assembly line or warehouse anywhere. But now putting the sensors, you can map the route. And when you have a data, you can do the data analytics, and then you can find out what is the best route available. With that, you have two things. One, we talk about sustainability, because certainly you are going to reduce your consumption of diesel or gas, all those things. Along with that, you are optimizing the route. Optimization of route, which again leads to increase your efficiency, because then you are removing the muda or yellow or red waste of movement. So these are the different ways which is being used for the supply chain industry, usage of those things. And other things, putting the sensors for MHE for finding out the utilization hours, because these are again the capex investment either by the supplier or the customer. Someone has to do it. Then I need to know how much my MHEs are being utilized of time. Then you put the dot sensors, and then you identify that how much time this was a standstill, right? And how much time it is being utilized. And certainly when till time it is a standstill, your drivers are also not doing the job. Again, it talks about the efficiency improvement in the process. So these are the things which are being very much used now in the industry. That's what the tool what we are also using to give the more efficient and better solution to the industry.
Right. So Mandar, would you like to take this up? About, if you could highlight any innovative ways in which the automotive companies are leveraging automation with some robotics and address in intralogistics basically.
Regarding this intralogistic automation, mainly I will put this automation for the warehouse. First point, I will take the warehouse, because now the traditional warehouse versus the automated warehouse. Earlier, he has explained that near about the 1/3 space is utilized only for the automated warehouse, but still in the organization we are using the traditional warehouses. So definitely the next future is for the automated warehouses. And second, now the automation in the MHE. Now earlier that the purpose of the customer is that to delivery to happen between from A point to B point. But now the customer is asking point from A to B, whatever that, where is that my material? He wants that traceability also. So that's why the GPS system we are using for the local transport and other for import shipments also we are tracking. So this is also one automation is required in for the tracking point of view. And third thing is that we are doing the automation for the technology point of view for the inventory and all that thing, but we need to upgrade the skill of the persons also, so that they can support to all these systems. So earlier what Pawanji told that these are the skills need to upgrade for the each person in the supply chain and logistic. So these are the input from my.
Just to add on, sure. Two areas where as a manufacturing for a top plant. One is the low-cost automations, RFID tags. Okay, we've got hundreds of tools lying in the shop floor. I want to pick one particular tool. It will be a nightmare for me to search out where the tools are really. So RFID tag has really helped us in identifying it to pick up which tool exactly. One more thing as low-cost automation is putting RFID tags on all the pallets. So I know exactly how many pallets are going inside, how many pallets are coming out, how many are lying where. So these two are very simple and quick implementable things.
Thank you. Yes, yes, sure.
So I think supply chain managers always face this issue. Your company every year growing by 20%. Like a sketch, we are growing every year by 20 to 22%. And space is fixed. That area is given to me is fixed. Resources are fixed. And boss is saying you have to increase the sale. Yeah. So how I'm going to tackle this situation? Here, the role of artificial intelligence and Internet of Things and new technologies are helping me. See, loading and unloading. Every month I have to procure around 5,000 metric ton of material. So the n number of trucks are entering in my plant. I have to ensure the unloading and similarly loading. So for that, technology is helping me, like autonomous guided vehicles, then pick and place robots with artificial intelligence, and there are cobot also. The cobots are robots, they are having a human touch, or they are built with the safety parameters. So in coming futures, if space is fixed, manpower is fixed, everything is fixed, and you have to increase the sales and you have to increase the turnover year by year. So this artificial intelligence and new technologies are going to play a very important role. Thank you.
I'll come to the last question to the panel, that having spoken about all these technologies, its benefits, about the talent acquisition for handling those technologies, could you enlighten a bit about who are the suppliers of these technologies? So if anybody wants to install or get these technologies in their companies, whom do they go to? So maybe Shreyas as a consultant.
I'm by far the most neutral person in that sense. No, I mean, I don't think there is any dearth, honestly. I think both, I mean, there are global suppliers, obviously. If you go on the sort of software side of it, of course, you have all the giants that are there. I think what I would definitely say, and I'm sure there are more examples in this panel on very specific ones, is I'll just go back to the earlier point that we had about let's identify the problem and let's identify the solution based on the problem, right? It's always easy to say, okay, this is a very interesting technology, let me try it, right? Or let me go for it because it's somehow, the technology looks interesting or it seems to be solving a very interesting problem, right? I think that is definitely I wouldn't say the wrong way, but definitely not going to give us the right bang for the buck, right? So the whole aspect about where is the problem, and then try and find solutions commensurate to that problem, right? In my experience, whether it is on maybe something around, let's say, transportation, transparency of movement of goods, whether it is also on warehouse automations and warehouse management technology, right? Increasingly, what we see is that the basic technology in most of a certain size of an organization, the basic technology is already there, right? A lot of folks are heavily driven by data when it comes to decision making, right? The question is much more usage cases and application cases, right? It's not, so I don't have a situation to take Pawan's the example Pawan was talking about. I don't think people are looking for transportation management system. They're looking at route optimization and route solutioning, right? And when you get into that, the chances are you will find much more interesting solution providers who are solving that problem, because that itself is an interesting problem and a sizable problem to solve, right? It is to just expect the existing technology or the existing maybe a large suite of technology to just solve that smaller problem will end up being, again, the technology solving the problem first rather than problem, leading to a technology. So I would say let it be driven by application, let it be driven by use cases. I think specific examples, I'm sure there are many that others can also share.
So when it comes to identifying the problems in your supply chain, I think he's the guy whom you can go to, who will help you identify it. And once he's identified it, I'm the guy who can help you set it up. So that's I think, yes.
I would like to add that when you identify a problem, if the problem is simple, let's have a simple solution. Sometimes it so happens that the problem is small and we end up having such complex solutions that it's not easy to implement. So we have to look at what is the problem and what can be simple solution. And then if the problem is big, then we can have a bigger solution as well. That's the point.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we'll open for a quick question round if there's any. Yes, sir, please.
So I'm a scientist who works in the area of resilience of supply chains. Your answer will validate a lot of hypotheses that we're building right now. What in specific do your customers demand as a need to build resilience, with the constraint being that the entire data trend fails, it's a disruption, and now the critical operations of supply chain have to be maintained? 3 areas of need that your customers identify for you. Thank you.
So, incidentally, because we are talking about some of the things through the day, they are kind of very similar to some of the themes we talked about, right? I think the biggest thing is definitely demand, right? And no matter how much you speak about, let's say, the size of the company or complexity of the organizations, even the OEMs that we have worked with, the biggest challenge remains demand, right? How well are we in predicting that or forecasting that? And how, I think the organizations, especially I would say Indian organizations, have become very good at reacting to things, right? One of the reasons maybe we are growing that well as a country or as a individual organizations, a lot of organizations, especially in automotive, are because they are reacting really well. But I think we have to sort of move away from that, and that is one of the biggest challenges, right? So even if you go back to 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when COVID was going on, the way companies reacted was really well. The challenges, if you ask me, one example on demand was, the moment we were out of that, they didn't know what to do. Correct? So you had a lot of inventory, maybe you built up because you know the demand was going to be a little volatile, so you basically built up inventory. Or you built up capacity. What do you do with that after it is the bigger challenge. So how do you either sense demand, or secondly, how do you maybe build demand as well in some cases? I think that is one clear example. Second is maybe some of the things we talked about on technology, which is that, okay, I have to spend on technology, I have to invest in technology, but what is it actually giving back to me, right? And this is the ROI thing that we keep talking about. I think there's a bigger challenge that remains around ROI. I think there again, what I spoke about, I'll bring back the horizon point. I think the CEOs and the MDs have to now move away from okay, it's not like one line item that, okay, there is an admin expense and then there is a technology expense, right? It cannot be like that. It has to be much more strategic as part of the thinking. I would say last thing, which again will be quite relatable, is talent. I think the thing with talent, if you ask me, is not so much, at least this is my personal view, is not so much that the talent is not available. I think we have to ask as individual organizations, what are we doing to develop that talent? I mean, there are organizations in India which are known for developing talent, and you have essentially today CEOs coming out of those management programs, which are now all across the industry, right? So the question is, where has that gone for us? I think the organizations also have to think about what is my investment on developing that talent. And I'm going to have, again, some kind of a hit and miss over there, right? Much the way I have in my new products, or much the way I have in my new capacity. You're going to have a situation where if I invest in 10 new budding talent or new graduates, you're going to have fallouts. But is my program really delivering what I need to do? Can I really get at least one person out of that, which is going to be my future CEO, right? I think that is a big question, if you ask me.
So that was a great Yorker, which I think you played on the front foot. I hope
he actually confirmed 3 of the facets that we've identified. Thank you.
so. Yeah, I hope he's made enough runs. Yes. The next question.
Yeah, hi. I'm audible? Hello? Hello. Yeah, this is Datta from Otherview Technologies. The question that I have is, I mean, most technologies discussed here, they're all cost intensive in the sense that you need huge investment initially to acquire and deploy those technologies. So my question is, has the time come to go for OpEx model rather than CapEx model, so that the technologies are made available to the consumers on the basis of maybe a subscription-based model or something similar to that? For example, now SAP, initially they used to offer SAP on-premise. Now they are, for all the new customers, they are offering only on cloud, which is Rise with SAP as they call it. So has the time come for OpEx based costing and subscription of these technologies? That's my question.
Being the supplier, maybe I'll attempt that question. And so it's a frequent question asked to us. Do you deliver equipment on OpEx basis? Apart from the various benefits the CFO would have, fundamentally, in the Western world, we see today that technologies like autonomous mobile robots, which are replacing the humans exactly one-on-one, have already started to move towards the OpEx model. But technologies which are not replacing humans one-on-one, they are going much beyond the capability of humans. These technologies are mostly CapEx-based, not OpEx-based. Then in India, what is seen is that a hybrid model is coming up. So there are some 3 and 4 PLs, if we may call them, who are investing heavily into technology. And they are offering, OpEx services, not technology, but they are literally offering those 4PL services. And I think Rammohan can talk about it a little bit, if you could just throw light on. He's actually a user of such service. And maybe that is a model which can evolve instead of an OpEx model. So over to you.
Yeah, that's true. What he said is, even for this, my FTLs and all, we use the cloud platforms. Even those are based out of US and all that. It's a more of a subscription basis, and for the customize that particular project, for the FTLs contracts we do on an annual basis, that it's a more of like as in we get prescribed and then this particular period that we pay the fee and we finish our work and we'll get out of that particular service. These type of service providers also available, and apart from that, this the part distribution center I mentioned as a delivery or Safe Express or sort of thing. Apart from that, it's a basic need of moving from material from one part to other part, but other activities like the things like it's real-time data is providing, and as well as it's a customer and customer connect data, and as well as an internal improvement efficiency data, and everything is getting notified to the customer. And these are being built inbuilt as a service to their end, because that is becoming a USP for that. That's the way they are grabbing a new customer. So who are having is a better, apart from the price point, that is a better services as a byproduct. If they could able to give that, they could always sustain. And we are just giving an orders because of that is an additional byproduct we are getting rather than there's a price. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. I wish we could spare more time for the questions because we've overshot by about 5 minutes. One last question.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Vaibhav Lodaya from Kirannagal. So my question is regarding, the technology part of it, wherein OEMs probably, you all are probably tier one suppliers to big OEMs in the market today. So OEMs are, going towards that, wherein we are talking about API and EDI integrations, end-to-end supply chain, wherein, it starts from order management, part level visibility, to the tune of, doing even our invoices, automated audits. So, as tier one suppliers to those OEMs, how do you, think that tier one segment is ready for adoption to that technologies as of today, or you see that as a long shot for the industry?
Well, it's certainly not a long shot, while my colleagues will definitely address from their perspective. But I quickly want to make a reference that, Jayant Athole is here, and DP World is doing some interesting stuff on that, on the solutioning side. They are completely doing the end-to-end kind of, supply chain that tier one would be expecting, and they are running some pilot projects. I think you could one-on-one connect with Jayant, and he can throw some light on, what they're already doing. But apart from that, if anyone would like to take this question.
While we discuss that OEMs are taking such platforms, even the tier ones are having the same approach, and they are trying to take these services and trying to automate the overall supply chain. So if it starts from the customer as a OEM for us as automotive, then it also flows down to us and to our suppliers as well. So it is interconnected, as I talked about, electronic data interchange and such kind of things. So all the data which is coming from the customer, it is directly linked to our SAP, and then our SAP is speaking to their systems. So all these are interlinked, and therefore we can improve transparency, and we can provide real-time data to our suppliers as well. When it comes to tier 2, yes, their readiness for this, again, is a question, but there are platforms which can help them take this, if not directly to their system, but they can provide a web service which they can use, and they can have the data. So that is there.
I would say in different way, it's more of the tier 1 or tier 2, or we say OEM, it's more of the capex appetite, right? If my growth of as a tier 1 or tier 2 is growing with the 15 to 20% year on year CAGR, so certainly, and I see 5 years of time, I'm going to be a double or triple with my top line and consequently my bottom line. I'm prone to invest on the technology because it is going to give me a profit. But I'm going to be, and I see the future, if it is stagnant, it is running with the 6-7%, I tend to run away from the investment on those. So it is more of the appetite of the individual business to talk about how much they need to invest on the topic.
Thank you, Pawan. You want to
As rightly said by the panel members, I just want to add, nowadays what is happening, if you want to qualify as a tier 1 supplier of any OEM, so OEM, they have set some standards, what sort of digital capabilities tier 1 supplier should have. If you are having those, then only you are qualified for the business, and they are giving the business, and they are ready to pay for that. Okay, and in many cases, OEMs are, that is a part of their project cost. They are also offering. So it depends on who is your OEM. And if he is ready to pay or amortize that cost, then there is no issue to implement those technologies in tier 1 suppliers, at tier 1 suppliers. Okay.
Especially for those digitization, we are as an OEM, I'm saying, where the quality is a primary requirement, part traceability is a primary requirement. We are making it mandatory for our tier 1s to introduce all. Okay, we want all the data to be stored in a central cloud or a central locations which can be retrieved whenever we require. And one more thing is that I think majority of you could have also seen the manpower is a big challenge. We will not be hiring, nobody will be hiring 100% permanent manpower. Okay, operates 40 to 50% permanent manpower. Rest is going to be temporary. They'll be hired and taken depending upon the demand. So when the manpower is temporary, you don't have sufficient time to give him a complete training. So it's best for you to automate as much as possible. just give them the operator only what he's supposed to just on and off.
Thank you. I wish we had some more time for the
Thank you.
Q&A,
Thank you
but
so much, sir.
we'll have to conclude this session for now. And just to sum it up, just take this formula. The drivers of embracing automation is 5VQS2SM. 5VQ2SM. 5 V's are, first is high volume, high variety, high value items. Other 2 V's are high visibility and high velocity. These things drive these V's drive the automation. Then we come to Q, which is quality, but here we are talking about cost of poor quality. And that cost of poor quality often doesn't reflect in the books. It's kind of an opportunity cost that you keep losing, but you don't account for it. 2S, one is safety, and second is space. These 2 are the key drivers. And the last M is manpower. So reduction in the headcount, the manpower. So these are fundamentally the drivers of embracing high level of automation in the industry. On that note, I thank all my colleagues here for this wonderful session, and I thank you all for being a wonderful audience and staying until 5:30 now. And sorry to stretch you to that far. Thank you so much.